It's the final game of the day. It's the second and last qualifying match for the last spot in this qualifier for one of these two players to move on to Challenger League for WCS 2015. I'm Rifkin, joined by both Zombie Grub and Desro. And spawning in the top left corner of the map from Complexity Sound Blaster, it's the Purple Terran QXC.
In the bottom right, as the Red Protoss, it's Flipside Tactics Bales.
Now again, Desro, being the experienced veteran on the North American ladder that you are, I assume you've as well played both of these guys.
Yes, I'm really happy when I beat Bells with a cheesy build, because otherwise I wouldn't have a chance. And QXC, I think taking sort of like a break or like not playing focused StarCraft is paying off for him. You know, he's in a qualifying match. He's maybe hasn't like put a lot of effort into maintaining his skill, but it's still paying off for him. And yeah, he also beat Huck in that Apollo Legacy of the Void show match. So he's definitely still got it. So.
See, that's where I'm almost a little bit worried, though, because he has been one of those guys who's been playing quite a bit. Well, I shouldn't say quite a bit, but he's been playing Legacy of the Void more recently. A lot of these guys did kind of sacrifice it up. We've talked to them. We've heard the grimaces and the complaints saying, like, I wish I could have played more, but, you know, I had to focus on the WCS qualifiers. But perhaps the same mentality of just kind of loosening up, giving it a bit of a shake-off, and QXC not being so focused gives him that little bit of extra freedom of thought, maybe?
Yeah, that's for sure, because the thing is, like, you want to be creative, you want to be, like, sort of taking it, like, naturally, but when it becomes your job, you put yourself, you just want results, you know, you want to maximize everything you do, be more efficient, and so then it comes to a point where you get stuck in that mindset, and so by just relaxing a lot more and just not really putting everything on the line for QXC maybe is unleashed a beast that we've never seen before out of him.
It's actually a common. What's the word? It's something that they study actually in like other sports, like real sports, as they're known in esports. Yeah, the idea that if you know taking breaks is actually healthy for like the mental training part. But anyways.
Well, actually, before you get too far off the topic of that, because the game is starting to end up, like, it did blow me away. I remember the first time, I think it was TLO was talking about having, like, I don't know, a psychologist or whatever therapist to talk to, the mental training being such a big part, is the last thing I personally ever think of when I'm thinking about these players.
Mm-hmm. I've actually met with that guy, and I followed his, like, regimen for a month. It was crazy how much better I got, but it's just a lot of commitment, a lot of work. And you just really gotta, you know, put the stream aside and think a lot for yourself and really put time on yourself. StarCraft 2 is not only about playing the game, but it's about everything else outside of it, like your, you know, mental strength and your focus and so on.
We're getting closer, you know. Well, I guess StarCraft 2 is unfortunately not getting so close, but I guess esports as a whole to being just more and more like grounded in similar practices of real sports. You know, things that have like 100 years of practice.
Can we just say physical, by the way, because like real just sounds so downing.
all right, fine. Like, you know, physical sport. That just sounds weird. All right, Twitch chat's gonna go crazy now.
Well,
anyways,
it's making me think of those Reddit threads. Like, why don't you play a real game like StarCraft or whatever this guy's did?
I still haven't watched that, but they're finally designed, by the way. And the Marines, I guess, are looking to get into Photon Overcharge, but. We have teams now. We have some coaches, like the Legends are adopting coaching, you know, a lot of the Korean style. But we really, we only touched the surface about like, you know, psychology and like actual, you know, keeping yourself physically fit for esports is going to be a bigger deal, I guess, as this whole esports thing becomes huge.
That's a lot of Marines poking, but I don't think he's going to get much done with this. The Photon Overcharge should be able to push this back along with the Stalkers. If this was timed up with a stim, maybe QXC comes in here and wrecks the face with some of the probes, but baits the Overcharge, and kind of classic Terran moves, right? Get the Overcharge early so he doesn't have two later, and then boom, hit him with a drop. But QXC is going to have to be dealing with pretty quick Colossus coming out of Bales.
Yeah, baiting the Photon Overcharge for 2 Marine was kind of nice. You know, it's not that big of a commitment. He's only got like 1 Marine half HP. He's still lurking around. That poses a threat for Bales. Bales maybe wanted to get like an earlier double forge, but now he's forced into a little bit more zealots because he doesn't know like how early the stem is. Because the thing is, you can do this push with a very early stem, which would wreck Bales, but...
Speaking of getting wrecked, those force fields, really fantastic. Marauder's a little bit too fat. I think the Marines could have actually squeezed out of there, just looking at it, but loses a lot of his army. Now, he did cause some payback here to Bales, did some good damage, but the problem is, QXC lost his momentum.
He lost a lot of units. He traded a little bit, but no, it wasn't a very good trade. I think he got a little too ambitious. He didn't think Bales would see how many units was outside his door. Oh, but a sentry is huge.
Yeah, and he did force another Photon Overcharge, but unfortunately, it's not like his medevacs are right on the the tail of this. Looks like he's gonna catch a Stalker too.
I'm a little shocked. Bales is if we're extending. I mean, like he has the Overcharge to fall back to. Like, why chase so far away?
Yeah, that's it's a weird decision by Bales for sure.
But speaking of those medevacs, I mean, they're close to getting out. I guess the Starport's going to swap the factory here, and then they'll start dropping everywhere. And by that time, Bales, I guess, is only going to have one Photon Overcharge, but he may also have Blink by that time. You're going for a double Forge here. What do you think of that, Desro?
It's just the way Bales plays, very macro, very by the book, just getting every upgrade. Defensive play into the late game, he feels very comfortable there, so that's the best way to get there. I'm sure he's prepared other builds, but that's his go-to from most of the games I've seen from him.
I mean, we've really been having this discussion kind of between Zomgrim and myself throughout cast. What do you feel? Like, I mean, Chrono Boost going to it as well. I mean, this is kind of a little bit greedy at the same time, don't you think? I mean, it's the less army he's going to have. It's a slower third because of all the money going into these. Yeah,
well, if you look at it at the trades, they've traded even, but the thing is, that makes QXC's army much smaller, which means less stuff to defend from the drops. There's just going to be less units inside those drops, so it's going to make it easier for him to split his units because there's just going to be less attacking on every front.
Well, I'm a little bit worried though, because while there's going to be less on QXC's side, there's also going to be less on Bale's side. It's I don't know, you have the Colossus out of position for a moment, the Marauders get on top of them with Stim, they can go down so surprisingly quickly.
Yeah. But, Bale's, I mean, he's talking about 2 bases, and hopefully he'll be able to defend 2 bases. I think he'll split correctly. But so is QXC, so... Now, I was looking at these, later thirds with Double Forge, and I'm like, man, that looks so bad. But the Terrans sometimes just aren't really capitalizing on that either. In fact, we already have Vikings being produced. We've seen a lot of Terrans that are going very medevac heavy lately, Drunken Boy, right? But straight into Vikings for him. These... I mean, they can either go straight up, try and attack straight up and, get him while he's trying to get a third, or... in extreme scenarios, he could actually catch Colossus, running around trying to defend against drops.
Speaking of getting caught, a little bit awkward for QXC. We'll lose one of the Marauders for it. But he's also now scanned and seen the full count of the army of his opponent. 3 Colossus is something that's kind of scary. But back at home, he already did get the second starport down. Usually it's right around now. We actually have the second one underway if you're behind, but I guess no reactor on it is going to kind of delay the Viking production. Not that he's really got the money to support it just yet.
Look at the vision of Bales. Those 3 observers still, well, one might get picked off, but those 3 observers,
no!
4 observers, sorry.
How do you actually gets away? This fragile unit with 40 health and nothing for shields escapes the wrath of the Marines.
Yeah, but it just makes such almost like a full circle, around his natural and third, and that's just gonna make what? He cancels the third? What's going on?
Pull. He's pulling the boys, Desro!
He didn't even cancel it. He's just got it and go for it.
No, I mean,
Bales canceled his third.
Bales.
No, but it's QXC who's pulling the boys.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, the SCV pull from that observer that you would just finish complimenting.
This is so weird. His third just finishes. Does he even have enough minerals to turn into an orbital? No. That's a third mule you're supposed to have. You go for 3 base SCV pull, and the armor upgrade isn't going to be in effect here either. You must have just seen an opportunity. Is this really going to work?
Well, the Vikings, not that plentiful. Going to be really hard to fight in this ramp. Everything getting shredded in. Yeah, I don't know why QXC did this. He's having Dragon to drop and Marauders on top of this. The Vikings don't get much done. He throws away so much and gets so little for it. I don't understand that choice.
Desro, explain.
You know what it is? No, hang on. I got this. Hang on, Desro.
Okay,
QXC's an armor is pretty expensive, so I'll just pull the boys instead.
There's just... Maybe he thought Bales was not going to cancel and he was going to try to defend the third, but Bales, you know, that's like when you go double forge, that's where you gotta defend. It's the SCV pull. That's the bane of your existence most of the time when you do that build. And so he was really prepared. I don't understand QXC's trigger here.
I think if he had like 5 more Vikings in that, I would have actually agreed with the SCV pull, because he would have had enough to actually deal damage to the Colossus. But between the Guardian Shield and these cannons, I mean, there was no way that was going to go well. And now he's sending the SCVs back home. He's going to try and recover off this with a 3rd CC. Mules are okay, but I mean, look at that income still, guys. It's going to be so hard to build back up.
Yeah, that was...
I mean, if he did all this to cancel a 3rd, congratulations, mission accomplished. But I don't think that's going to be the goal of QXC.
Well,
yeah, with 2-2 in charge, there's no way QXC can win this. There's just not enough bio here.
I mean, if every Marine was a Marauder, maybe it's something different. But yeah, there's you're right. It's gonna be 3-3 upgrades on the way. The longer QXC waits, the worse it gets from him. You can't. I mean, taking aside the second the Colossus from this fight, there's charge lots that are gonna have 3-3 versus 1-1 bio. You almost don't need anything else.
Yeah, and the Viking count is still not scary. The problem for Bales is the main's about to mind out. Some of the patches are sitting at 250, a little bit less than that for some others. And so the 3rd for QXC kicking in is nice. It might actually be, you know, if we see a second SCV pull and, you know, very like 200 supply for QXC, there might be a chance, there might be a way, but I don't know. We just have to wait and see.
I mean, it is one last hurrah, really. I'm not like, he might even just pull the boys again, because we still don't have upgrades coming out of QXC. He didn't I mean, I made a joke with the armory, and it was kind of a stupid one, but still, he doesn't have the armory, so there's not even the capability for upgrades. It is absolutely all in, and if he doesn't pull the boys, it's almost I don't know, dude. There's not a lot of good situations where a Terran player fails at pulling those SCVs, and still manages to win that game. I will give it to him, though. His army's big, and it's scary, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Now, he's hitting at a time before 3-3's done. Maybe it'll finish during the fight. Maybe a chrono or 2 goes into it, but even then, it's still 2-2 versus 1-1.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough position, though, for Bales to defend. It's not very... the concave is going to be in QXC's favor. If you just look at where Bales is parked, you can imagine the concave already forming.
Oh, there we go.
Well, all the boys, yeah.
Yeah, the worst thing, too, for QXC is Bales has had eyes on this the whole game. Like, so many observers just scouting this coming. It's almost like BM time warps, unnecessary. He'll start the fight with them. Vikings are going to shoot down the Colossus. Zealous charging those front lines. 3-3 is finished, by the way, guys. And Colossus be darned, it doesn't matter. Look at this bio getting wrapped up. That clumped up ball. Those Archons get the shots. GG! Bales takes the game.
I don't know what it is lately. We're seeing these like odd timed, you know, SCV pulls. There used to be like a set build that you would do to SCV pull, you know, like, you know,